by Thornton Wilder, produced by Mr. Knight and Miss Van Zyl, and directed by Dr. Schaefer. In it, you will see Miss Wright, Miss Wobble, and Miss Roth, and Mr. Laughlin, Mr. Ocasio, and Mr. Owens, and many others. The name of the town is Grover's Corners, New Hampshire, just across the Massachusetts state line. Latitude 42 degrees 40 minutes, longitude 70 degrees 37 minutes. The first act shows a day in our town. That day is May 7th, 1901. It's early morning. The sky is beginning to show some streaks of light in the east there. The morning star always gets wonderful bright before it has to go out, doesn't it? Well, I better show you how our town lies. Up here is Main Street. Railway station's over there. Tracks go that way. Congregational church and Unitarian are over here. Methodist, Presbyterian. Catholic churches across the tracks. And Baptist is down hollow by the river. Town hall and post office are combined jails in the basement. Brian once made a speech from these very steps. All along Main Street are row of pigeon posts and a horse box in front of them. Right here is the grocery store and Mr. Morgan's drugstore. Almost everybody in town manages to pass through these two stores at least once a day. First automobiles are going to come right down Main Street about 5 years from now. Belong to banker Cartwright, our richest citizen. He lives in that big white house up on that hill. And public school's over there, high school's over yonder. 9:15, noon times, and 3 o'clock, you can hear the screaming of children from the schoolyard. And this is Doc Gibbs' house. And this is Mrs. Gibbs' garden. Greens, peas, beans, hollyhocks, heliotrope, and a whole lot of birding. Back in this day, our newspaper come twice a week. The Grover's Corner Sentinel, and this is Editor Webb's house. And this is Mrs. Webb's garden. Just like Mrs. Gibbs, only it's got a lot more sunflowers, too. And right here, a big butternut tree. Nice town, don't you think? Nobody very remarkable ever come out of it. The tombstones up in the cemetery in the hill say 1670 to 1680. A bunch of Grovers and Cartwrights and Gibbses and Herseys. Same names that are here now. Well, as I said, it's early morning. Most of the lights are off in the town, except for a cottage across the tracks where a Polish mother's just had twins. And in the Joe Crowell house, where Joe Jr. is getting ready to deliver the morning papers. And down at the train depot, where Shorty Hawkins is getting ready to board the 5:45 train for Boston. Naturally, out in the country, the lights have been on for some time with Miltons and so on, but townspeople prefer to sleep later. Oh, here comes Doc Gibbs coming back from that baby case. Here's Mrs. Gibbs, downstairs to make breakfast. Doc Gibbs died in 1930. The hospital's going to be named after him. But Mrs. Gibbs died first. Pneumonia. She was out visiting her daughter, Rebecca, who'd gone to marry an insurance agent in Canton, Ohio. And she died there. But her body was brought back here. She's up there in the cemetery now, with a whole mess of Gibbses and Herseys. She was Julia Hersey before she married Doc Gibbs. In the Congregational church right over there. You see, in our town, we like to know the facts about everything. Oh, here comes Mrs. Webbs downstairs to make breakfast. And there's Doc Gibbs, who got that call at 1:30 this morning. And here comes Joe Crowell, Jr., delivering the morning paper. Good morning, Doc.
Morning, Joe.
Somebody been sick?
Oh, no. Just some twins going over to Polish town.
You want your paper now?
Yes, I'll take it. Anything serious going on in the world since Wednesday?
Well, you see my teacher, Miss Foster, she's getting married to this fellow over in Congress.
That's clear. How do you boys feel about that?
Well, it's not my place to have an opinion. But I said, if you ought to start a teacher, you ought to stay a teacher.
How's your knee, Joe?
Oh, it's fine. It don't bother me much. It's just like you said. Always lets me know when it's going to rain.
What's it telling you today? Going to rain?
No, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
You ever make a mistake?
No, sir.
Want to tell you something about that boy Joe Crowell there? He was awfully bright. Graduated high school head of his class. So he got a scholarship and went to Massachusetts Tech. Graduated head of his class there, too. It was all written up in the Boston paper at the time. Going to be a great engineer, Joe was. But the war broke out and he died in France. All that education for nothing.
Giddy up, Bessie. What's the matter with you today?
Oh, here comes Howie Newsom, delivering milk.
Morning, Doc.
Morning, Howie.
Somebody sick?
A pair of twins over to Mrs. Goroslavsky's.
Twins, eh? This town's getting bigger every year.
Going to rain, Howie?
No. Fine day. That'll burn through.
Well, hello, Bessie. How old is she, Howie?
Well, I'm 17. Bessie's told me something about the roof. Ever since the Lockhart stopped taking a quart of milk every day, Wesley McCord just the same. Keeps calling me the whole trip.
Good morning, Howie.
Morning, Miss Gibbs. Doctor's coming down the street.
Is he? Seems like you're late today.
Yes, something went wrong with the separator. Don't know what it was. Doc?
Howie?
Children, time to get up.
Come on, Bessie.
George, Rebecca. Everything all right, Frank?
Oh, yes, I'm there. Easy as kittens.
Bacon will be ready in a minute. Sit down and drink your coffee. You can catch a couple hours sleep this morning, can't you?
Mrs. Wentworth's coming at 11. Guess I know what it's about, too. Her stomach ain't what it ought to be.
Oh, told you won't get more than 3 hours sleep. Frank Gibbs, I don't know what's going to become of you. I wish I could get you to go away some days and take a rest. I think it would do you some good. Emily, time to get up. Wally, 7 o'clock. I declare you got to talk to George with me. Something's come over him lately. He's no help to me at all. I can't even get him to come. He said what?
Is he sassy?
No, he just whines. All he thinks about is that baseball. George, Rebecca, you're going to be late for school.
George, look sharp.
Yes, Mom!
Don't you hear your mother calling you? Guess I'll go upstairs and get 40 minutes.
Emily, Wally, you'll be late for school. Wally, you wash yourself good or I'll come up and do it myself. Mom, what's rest on there? Don't make a noise. Your father's been out all night and he needs his rest. I ironed the blue gingham for you special. Oh, I hate that dress. Oh, hush up with you. Every day I go to school dressed like a sick turkey. Now, Rebecca, you always look very nice. Mom, my dog is throwing soap at me. I'll come and slap the both of you. That's what I'll do.
There's a factory in our town, too. Makes blankets. Cartwrights own it, and brought them a fortune.
Now, children, I won't have it. Breakfast is just as good as any other meal, and I won't have you gobbling it like wolves. It'll stunt your growth, it's a fact. Put away your book, Wally. Oh, Mom, by 10 o'clock, I gotta know all about Canada. You know the rules well as I do. No books at the table. To me, I'd rather have my children healthy than bright. I'm not hungry. You know I am. I'm the brightest girl in school for my age. I have a wonderful memory. Eat your breakfast. I'm smart, too, when I'm looking at my stamp collection. I'll talk to your father about it when he's rested. Seems to me that 25 cents a week's enough for a boy your age. I don't know how you spend it all.
Oh my, I got a lot of things to buy.
Strawberry phosphates, that's what you spend it on.
I don't see Rebecca comes to have so much money. She has more than $1.
I save it up gradual. Well, dear, I think it's a good thing to spend some every now and then.
Mama, do you know what I love most in the world? Do ya? Money!
Eat your breakfast.
Well, there's your phone. I don't want any more.
All right, now walk fast, but you don't have to run, Wally. Hold your hands to me and Emily, stand up straight. Tell Miss Foster I sent her my best congratulations. Can you remember that?
Yes, Mama.
You look real nice, Rebecca. Pick up your feet. Here, chick, chick, chick. No, go away, you go away. Here, chick, chick. What's the matter with you? Bite, bite, bite. That's all you do. You don't belong to me. Where did you come from? Oh, don't be so scared. Nobody's going to hurt you. Morning, Myrtle. How's your cold? Still got that tickling feeling in my throat. Told Charles I knows I'd been choir practice wouldn't be any use.
Have you tried singing over your voice?
Yes, but somehow I can't do that and stay on key. While I'm resting myself, I thought I'd string some of these beans.
Let me help you. Beans have been good this year.
I've decided to put a 40 quarts if it kills me. The children say they hate them, but I noticed they're able to get them down all winter.
Now, Myrtle, I've got to tell you something, because if I don't tell somebody, I'll burst.
Who are the kids?
Give me some more of those beans. Myrtle, did one of those secondhand furniture men from Boston come and see you last Friday?
No.
Well, he called on me. First, I thought it was a patient wanting to see Dr. Gibbs, and he wormed his way into my parlor, and Myrtle Webb, he offered me $350 for grandmother Webber's hypomyas as I'm sitting here.
That's Julie Gibbs.
I know! That little thing, boy, was so big I didn't know where to put it. I almost gave it to cousin Hester Wilcox.
You're going to take it, aren't you?
I don't know.
You don't know? $350? What's come over you?
Well, if I could get the doctor to take the money and go away someplace on a real trip, I'd sell it like that. You know, Myrtle, it's been the dream of my life to see Paris, France. I don't know. It sounds crazy, I suppose, but for years I've been promising myself that if we ever had the chance,
What does the doctor think of?
well, I did beat about the bush a little and said that if I got a legacy, that's the way I put it, I'd make him take me somewhere.
And what did he say?
You know how he is. I haven't heard a serious word out of him since I've known him. No, he said. It might make him discontented with Grover's Corners to go traipsing around Europe. Better let well enough alone, he said. Every 2 years he takes a trip to the battlefields of the Civil War, and that's enough treat for anyone, he says.
Well, Mr. Webb just admires the way Dr. Gibbs knows everything about the Civil War. I mean, Mr. Webb's got a good mind to move over from Napoleon to the Civil War, only Dr. Gibbs, being one of the greatest experts in the country, just makes him swear.
It's a fact. Dr. Gibbs is never so happiest when he's at Antietam or Gettysburg. The times I've walked over those hills, Myrtle, stopping at every bush and pacing it all out like we were going to buy it.
Well, if that second-hand man's really serious about buying Julie, you sell it. And the business in Paris, all right, just keep dropping hints from time to time. That's how I got to see the Atlantic Ocean, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry I mentioned it. Only it seems to me that once in your life, before you die, you ought to see a country where they don't speak in English. And don't even want to.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. Now, I'd like to interrupt here. We'd like to have a little more information about this town, sort of a scientific account, you might say. So, I've asked Professor Willard of our State University to share a few words with us. Professor Willard of our State University, ladies and gentlemen. A few brief words. Unfortunately, our time is limited.
Grover's Corners. Let me see.
Grover's Corners lies on the Pleistocene granite of the Appalachian Range. I may say it's some of the oldest land in the world. We're very proud of that. A shelf of Devonian basalt crosses it with vestiges of Mesozoic shale and some sandstone outcroppings, but that's all more recent, 200 or 300 million years old. Some highly interesting fossils have been found here. I may say, unique fossils 2 miles out of town inside this Peggy's cow pasture. They can be seen at the museum in our university at any given time. That is, any reasonable time, of course. Shall I read some of Professor Kruger's notes on the meteorological situation?
Afraid we won't have time for that, Professor. We might have a few brief words on history of man here.
Yes. Anthropological data. Early Amerindian stock. Cotahashi tribes. No evidence past the 10th century of this era. Now entirely disappeared. Migration toward the end of the 17th century of English brachiocephalic blue-eyed stock, for the most part. Since then, some Slav and Mediterranean.
And the population, Professor Willard.
Within the town limits, 2,640.
Oh, wait, just a minute, Professor.
Oh, yes, indeed. The population at the moment is 2,642.
Thank you, Professor. We're very indebted to you, I'm sure.
Not at all, sir, not at all.
Thank you.
elected by a board of selectmen. All men vote at the age of 21. Women vote indirect. We're lower middle class, sprinkling of professional men, 10% illiterate laborers. Politically, we're 86% Republican, 6% Democrat, 4% Socialist, rest indifferent. Religiously, we're 85% Protestant, 12% Catholic, rest indifferent.
Anybody comments, Mr. Webb?
Pretty ordinary town, if you ask me, but a little better behaved than most. Probably a lot duller, but our young folk here seem to like it well enough. 90% of them graduated from high school, settled down right here to live, even when they've been away to college.
Now, does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask Senator Webb?
Is there much drinking in Grover's Corners?
Well, I don't know what you call much. Saturday nights, the farm hands meet down in Ellery Green Stable and holler some. We've got 1 or 2 town drunks, but they're always having remorses every time an evangelist comes to town. No, man, I'd say liquor ain't a regular thing in the home here, except for the old medicine cabinet. Right, good for a snake bite, you know. Always was.
Is there no one in town aware?
Come forward, will you, so we can all hear you? What were you saying?
Is there no one in town aware of social injustice and industrial inequality?
Oh, yes, everybody. Something terrible. Seems like they're always talking about who's rich and who's poor and...
Well, why don't they do something about it?
I don't know. I guess everybody's hunting for a way the diligent and sensible can rise to the top and the lazy and quarrelsome can sink to the bottom. But it ain't easy to find. Meanwhile, we do all we can to help those that can't help themselves and those that can we leave alone. Are there any other questions?
Oh, Mr. Webb, is there any culture or love of beauty in Grover's Corners?
Well, ma'am, I don't know what you call much. Come to think of it, we have some girls that play the piano at high school commencement, but they ain't happy about it. No, ma'am, there isn't much culture, but maybe it's a good time to tell you we've got a lot of pleasures of a kind here. We like to watch the sun coming up over the mountains, and we all pay a good deal of attention to the birds. Yes, everybody pays attention to them, and we like to watch the seasons change. Yes, everybody knows about them, but those other things, you're right, ma'am. There ain't much. Robinson Crusoe and the Bible and Handel's Largo, we all know that, and Whistler's Mother, but that's about as far as we go.
So I thought. Thank you, Mr. Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Now we're going to skip a few hours. All 2,642 residents of Grover's Corners had their dinners and had their dishes washed. There's a late afternoon hum in our town. Buzzing, less buggies out on Main Street. Doc Gibbs tapping away at his office and making people say, ah. Mr. Webb out mowing his lawn. You know, 1 man in every 10 thinks it's a privilege to mow his own lawn.
Wait for me!
Oh, no, it's later than I thought. That there are children getting out of school.
I can't, Lois. I've got to go home and help my mother.
Emily, walk simply. Who do you think you are today?
Papa, you're terrible. One minute you tell me to stand up straight, and the next minute you're calling me names. I just don't listen to you.
Golly, I've never been kissed by such a great lady before.
Excuse me, Mrs. Forrest.
Go on and play the fields, young man. You've got no business playing baseball on Main Street.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hello, Emily.
Hello.
You made a fine speech in class.
Well, I was really ready to make a speech about the Monroe Doctrine, but at the last minute, Miss Corker made me talk about the Louisiana Purchase instead. I worked an awful long time on both of them.
Gee, it's funny, Emily. From my window up there, I can just see your head next when you're doing homework over in your room.
Why can't you?
Certainly do stick to it, Emily. I don't see how you can sit still that long. I guess you like school.
I always see it as something you have to go through.
Yeah,
I don't mind it really. It passes the time.
yeah. Emily, what do you think? We might work out a kind of telegraph if you don't mind. And once once in a while you could give me a kind of hint or two about one of those algebra problems. Oh, I don't mean the answers, Emily. Of course not. Just some little hint.
Oh, well, I suppose hints are allowed. So if you get stuck, George, you whistle to me and I'll give you some hints.
Emily, you're just naturally bright, I guess.
I just figured it's the way a person's born.
Yeah. So you see, I want to be a farmer. And my Uncle Luke says, whenever I'm ready, I can come over and work on his farm, and if I'm any good, I can just gradually have it.
You mean the house and everything?
Yeah. Well, thanks. I better be getting out to the baseball field. Thanks for the talk, Emily. Good afternoon, Mrs. Webb.
Good afternoon, George. Emily, come and help me string some of these beads for the winter. George Gibbs let himself have a real conversation, didn't he? Why, he's growing up. How old would George be?
I don't know.
Let's see. He must be almost 16.
Mama, I made a speech in class today. I was very good.
Well, you must recite it to your father at supper. What was it about?
The Louisiana Purchase. It was like silk off of school. I'm gonna make speeches all my life. Mom, are these big enough?
Try and get a little bigger if you can.
Mama, will you write me a question? Serious?
Seriously, dear, not serious.
Seriously. Will you?
Of course I will.
Mama, am I good looking?
Of course you are, Emily. All my children have got good features. I'd be ashamed if they hadn't.
Mama, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, am I pretty?
I already told you yes. Now stop it. You've got a nice, young, pretty face. I've never heard of such foolishness.
Mama, you never tell us the truth about anything.
I am telling you the truth.
Mama, were you pretty?
Why, yes I was, if I do say it. The prettiest girl in town, Miss Amy Cartwright.
Well, Mama, you gotta say something about me. Am I pretty enough to get, well, anybody?
Emily, you make me tired. Now stop it. You're pretty enough for all normal purposes. Come along, we'll speak with.
Oh, Mama, you're no help at all.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Webb. Now, there's some information I'd like you all to know. The Cartwright interests have begun building a new bank in Grover's Corners. And they've asked a friend of mine what they should put the cornerstone so that people 1,000 years from now can uncover it and know the facts about us. So naturally, they've put in a copy of the New York Times and the Grover's Corner Sentinel. They've also put in a Bible, Constitution of the United States, and the works of William Shakespeare. What do you say, folks? What do you think? You know, Babylon once had 2 million people, and all we know about them are some names of kings and some copies of wheat contracts, and contracts for the sale of slaves. But every night, all those families sat down to supper, and the father came home from work. The smoke went up the chimney. So I'm going to have them put a copy of this record on the cornerstone, so that when people uncover it 1,000 years from now, they'll know the facts about us, not just the Treaty of Versailles and the Lindbergh Flight. So, 1,000 years from now, this is the way we were in the provinces north of New York at the turn of the 20th century. This is how we were growing up, and in our living, and in our marrying, and in our dying. Well, a good deal of time's gone by. It's evening. You can hear choir practice going on at the Congregational Church. And the children have started their homework. Days running down like a tired clock.
Listen here, everybody. You should come into the world to get pleasure. Again. Softer. Softer! Get it out of your heads that music's only good when it's loud. You leave loudness to the Methodists. You couldn't beat them, even if you tried. Now again.
Emily,
Hello.
hello.
I can't work at all. The moonlight's so terrible.
Emily, did you get the third problem?
Which?
The third?
Oh, I Stuart. That was the easiest one of them all.
I don't see it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. The answer is in yards.
In yards? Well, how do you mean?
In square yards.
In square yards?
Yes, George, don't you see?
Yeah.
In square yards of wallpaper.
Wallpaper. Oh, wallpaper. Oh, I see. Thanks a lot, Emily.
You're welcome. My, isn't the moonlight terrible? And choir practice going on? I think if you hold your breath, you can give a trade on Winnie Kentuka. Here?
What do you know?
Well, I guess I better go back and try to work now.
Good night, Emily. And thanks.
Good night, George.
Now, before I forget it, who can come in on Tuesday and sing a Fred Hersey's play? Show your hands. That'll do. That'll be right nice. We'll do the same music we did for James Throwbridge's last month. Now we'll do Art Thou Weary, Art Thou Languid. It's a question, people. Make it tough. Right?
Hey, George, can you come down a minute?
Yes, Pop.
Make yourself comfortable, George. I'm gonna keep you a minute. George, how old are you?
I'm 16, almost 17.
What do you want to do after school's over?
You know, Pa, I want to be a farmer on Uncle Luke's farm.
So you'll be willing, will you, to get up early and milk and feed the stock? Oh, and you'll be able to hoe and hay all day.
Sure I will. What do you mean, Pa?
Well, George, when I was in my office today, I heard a funny sound. What do you think it was? It was your mother chopping wood. There you see your mother getting up early, cooking meals all day long, washing and ironing. Oh, and still, she has to go out in the backyard and chop wood. Well, I suppose she just got tired of asking you. She just gave up and decided it was easier to do it herself. And you eat her meals, and you put on the clothes she keeps nice for you, and you run off and play baseball. Like she's some kind of hired girl we keep around the house that we don't like very much. Well, I knew all I had to do was call your attention to it. Here's a handkerchief, son. George, I've decided to raise your spending money 25 cents a week. Not, of course, for chopping wood for your mother, because that's a present you give her. But because you're getting older, and I imagine there are lots of things you must find to do with it.
Thanks, Pa.
Let's see, tomorrow's your payday. You can count on it. Probably Rebecca will feel she ought to have some more too. Wonder what could have happened to your mother. Choir practice never was as late as this before.
It's only 8:30, Pa.
I don't know why she's in that old choir. She hasn't any more voice than an old crow. Racing around the streets at this hour of the night. It's just about time you retire, don't you think?
Yes, Pa.
Good night, Martha. Good night, Mr. Foster. I'll tell Mr. Webb I don't want to put it in the paper.
My, it's late.
Good night, Irma.
Real nice choir practice, wasn't it? Myrtle, why would you look at that moon? Yeah, whatever, sure.
Naturally. I didn't want to say a word in front of those others, but now we're alone. Really, it's the worst scandal that was ever in this town.
What?
Simon Now, Luella.
But Julia, to have the organist of the church drink and drunk year after year, you know he was drunk tonight.
Now, Luella, we all know about Mr. Stinson, we all know the troubles he's been through. And Dr. Ferguson knows it. If Dr. Ferguson keeps him on there in his job, then the only thing the rest of us can do is just not to notice it.
Not to notice it, but it's getting worse.
No, it isn't, Luella. I've been in that car twice as long as you have. It doesn't happen anywhere near so as often. My, it's good to bed on a night like this. Well, better get home. The children will be up till all hours. Good night, Luella.
Did you get home safe, Luella?
It's as bright as day. I can see Mr. Soames scowling through the window now. He'd think he'd been to a dance, the way the men folks carry on.
Well, we had a real nice time.
You're late enough.
Oh, Frank, it ain't any later than usual.
You stopping at the corner to gossip with a lot of hens?
No, Frank, don't be so grouchy. Come, smell the heliotrope in the moonlight. Isn't that wonderful? What did you do all the time I was away?
Oh, I read, as usual. What were the girls gossiping about tonight?
Well, Frank Gibbs, there is something to gossip about.
Simon Stimson far gone, was he?
Worst I've ever seen it. How will that end, Frank? Dr. Ferguson can't forgive him forever.
Does I know more about Simon Stimson's affairs than anybody in this town? Some people just say made for small town life. I don't know how that'll end. There's nothing we can do, we'll just leave it alone. Oh, okay.
No. Frank, I'm worried about you.
What are you worried about?
I think it's my duty to get you a real rest and change, and if I get that legacy, well, I'm going to insist on it.
Now, Julia, there's no sense in going over this.
Frank, you're just unreasonable.
Come on, Julia. It's getting late. Before you know, you'll catch cold. Gave George a piece of my mind tonight. Something you'll have your wood shop for a while anyway. No, I'm getting upstairs.
Always so many things to clean up after, seems like. You know, Frank, this Fairchild locks their front door every night. All those people up that side of town do.
We're all getting citified, that's the trouble with them. They haven't got nothing fit to burgle, and everybody knows it.
Get out, Rebecca. There's only room for one at this window. You're always ruining everything.
Just a minute.
Use your own window.
George, do you know what I think? Do ya? I think maybe the moon's getting nearer and nearer, and there'll be a big explosion.
Becca, you don't know anything. If the moon were getting nearer, the guys that sit up all night with telescopes would see it first. They'd tell all about it, and it'd be all in the newspapers.
George, is the moon shining in South America, Canada, and half the whole world?
Well, probably is.
9:30. Most of the lights are off in the town. Oh, here comes Constable Warren. Check to see if all the doors are locked. And here comes Editor Webb, after putting his newspaper in bed.
Good evening, Bill.
Even Mr. Webb.
Quiet move.
Yep.
All quiet tonight?
Well, Simon Simpson's rolling around a bit. Saw his wife come back to hunt for him, so that's the other way. There he is now.
Good evening, Simon. Town seems to have settled down for the night pretty well. Good evening. Yes, the town has settled down for the night. I guess we should do the same. Can I walk along the way with you? Right.
I don't know how that's going to end, but
Yes, well, you seem to pack of trouble, one thing after another. Oh, Phil, you see my boy smoking cigarettes? Give him a word for me, will you? He thinks a lot of people.
oh, I don't think he smokes those cigarettes, Mr. Webb. At least for the top one. 2 or 3 years.
Oh, God. Good night.
Right, Mr. Webb.
Who's that up there? Is that you, Myrtle?
No, it's me, Papa.
Why aren't you in bed?
I don't know. I just can't sleep yet. My eyes have been moonlight wonderful. And the smell of Mrs. Gibbs' heliotrope. Can you smell it?
Have many troubles on your mind, have you, honey?
Troubles, Papa? No.
Well, you enjoy yourself, but
got from her minister when she was sick. He wrote Jane a letter, and on the envelope, the address was like this. It said, Jane Crockett, Crockett Farm, Grover's Corners, Sutton County, United States of America.
What's funny about that?
But listen, it's not finished. United States of America, continent of North America, Western Hemisphere, the Earth, the solar system, the mind of God. That's what it said on the That's what it said on the envelope.
What do you know?
It wasn't just the same.
What do you know?
That's all for the first act, folks. You can go and smoke now, those that smoke. This time 3 years have gone by, friends. Yes. The sun's come up over 1,000 times now. Winters and summers have cracked the mountains a little bit more. And the rains have brought down more of the dirt. Babies that weren't even born yet have become talking regular sentences already. Folks who thought they were becoming spry have noticed that they can't quite bound the flight of stairs like they used to. Got their heart fluttering a little. And they've just been pushing and contriving in other ways, too. A number of young people fell in love and got married. Almost everybody in the world gets married, and in our town, there aren't hardly any exceptions. Almost everybody on earth climbs into their graves married. The first act is called the daily life. This act is called love and marriage. There's another act after this, too, I reckon you can guess what that's about. So, it's 1904. 3 years later, it's July 7th. Just after high school commencement. A time when many of our young people jump up and get married. As soon as they finish their last exams in solid geometry and Cicero's orations, they suddenly see themselves fit to be married. It's early morning. Only this time it's raining. Mrs. Gibbs' garden and Mrs. Webb's here, drenched. All those bean poles and pea vines, drenched. And all along Main Street, the wind looked like curtains being blown along. May begin again at any minute. Oh, there you can hear the 5:45 train for Boston. Here comes Mrs. Gibbs and Mrs. Webb downstairs to make breakfast, just like it were any ordinary day. I don't have to point out to the women in my audience that these two women you see before you cook 3 meals a day, one for 20 years and the other for 40. And no summer vacation. They raised 2 children apiece, launched and built a house, and never a nervous breakdown. It's like what one of those Western poets said. You got to love life to have life. And you got to have life to love life. That's what we call a vicious cycle.
Whoa, Bessie, Bessie!
Here comes Howie Newsom delivering the milk. And there's Cypher, delivering papers just like his brother before him.
Good morning, Howard.
Morning, Sock. Anything in the paper talks about?
Nothing much. Just word losing about the best baseball pitcher Grover's Corners ever had, George Gibbs.
Reckon he is.
He hits and run bases too.
Yep, 95 ball player. Whoa, Bessie! I guess I can stop and talk to you about the 92.
I just don't get how a man can do a thing like that just to get married. Would you, Howie?
Can't tell, Si. Never had no talent like that.
Morning.
Good morning, Constable Ward.
You're up early, fella.
See if there's anything to do with the flood. Rivers been rising all night.
That crowd here is all worked up about George Gibbs returning from baseball.
Yes, sir. That's the way to go. Back in '84, side, we had a play. Even George Gibbs didn't know. Name of Hank Todd. Went down to Maine and became a parson. Wonderful ball player. Howie, how does the weather look to you?
Oh, take that. I think they lit up there for good. Miss Gibbs, it's rained so hard, I think maybe it'll clear up for good.
Certainly hope it will.
How much did you want?
I'm going to have a house full of relations now. It seems to me like I'll need 3 milk into a free.
My wife tells me to tell you, as how we both hope they'll be very happy, Miss Gibbs. No, they will.
Thanks a lot, Howard. Tell your wife I hope she gets there to the wedding.
She'll be there. She'll be there if she can. Morning, Mrs. Webb.
Good morning, Mr. Newsom. I have told you 4 quarts of milk, but I hope you can spare me another.
Yes, and it's 2 of 3.
Will it start raining again, Mr. Newsom?
Oh, I was just telling Miss Gibbs, as how it may clear up for good. Miss Newsom told me to tell you, as how we both hope they'll be very happy with it. No, they will.
Thank you. And thank Mrs. Newsom, and we hope to see you at the wedding.
Yes, we hope to get there, Miss Webb. Couldn't miss that. Come on, Betsy.
Oh, Ma. Hey, Mom. Really some wonderful chicks.
My kids, don't you say another word. I feel like crying every minute. Sit down and drink your coffee.
Groom's up shaving himself. Only bringing an awful lot to shave. Whistling and singing. Like he's glad to leave us. Every now and then he says, I do in the mirror, but don't sound very convincing to me.
I declare, Frank, I don't know how we'll get along. I've arranged his clothes and seen to it he's put warm things on. Frank, they're too young. I really won't think of such things. They'll catch us deaf and cold within a week.
I was remembering my wedding morning, Julia. I was the scaredest young fellow in the state of New Hampshire. Thought I'd make a mistake for sure. When I saw you coming down that aisle, I thought you were the prettiest girl I'd ever seen. But the only trouble was I'd never seen you before. There I was in the Congregational Church, marrying a total stranger.
How do you think I felt? Frank, weddings are perfectly awful things. Farces, that's what they are. Here, I've made something for you.
Why, Julia Hersey, French toast?
Take hard to make, and I have to do something.
How'd you sleep last night, Julia?
Well, I've heard a lot of the hours struck off.
Yes. I get a shock every time I think of George setting out to be a family man, a great gangling thing. Oh, I tell you, Julia, there's nothing so terrifying in this world as a son. The relation of father and son is just the darndest, awkward.
Mother and daughter's no picnic, let me tell you.
I have a lot of troubles too, I suppose. It's none of our business. Everyone has a right to their own troubles.
Yes, people are meant to go through life 2 by 2. It's natural to be on some.
Julia, you know one of the things I was scared of when I married you?
I'll go along with you.
I was afraid we wouldn't have material for conversation more than the last us a few weeks. I was afraid we'd run out and eat our meals in silence. It's a fact. Well, you and I have been conversing 20 years now without any noticeable barren spells.
Well, good weather, bad weather. Take very choice, but I always find something to say. Did you hear Becca stirring around upstairs?
No. Only day of the year she isn't up there managing everybody's business. She's hiding in her room. I got the impression she's crying.
Lord's sake, this has got to stop. Rebecca! Rebecca! Come downstairs and get your breakfast.
Good morning, everybody. Only 5 more hours to live.
George, Gibson, where are you?
I'm just stepping across the grass to see my girl.
Now, George, it's raining turns. You put on your overshoes.
Oh, Ma, it's just a step.
George, you'll catch your death of a cold and cough all through the circus.
George, you do as your mother tells you.
From tomorrow on, you can kill yourself in all weathers, but while you live in my house, you'll live wisely, thank you. Maybe Mrs. Webb isn't used to callers at 7 in the morning. Here, take a cup of coffee first.
See you back in a minute. Good morning, Mother Webb.
Goodness, you scared me, George. Now, you can come in a minute out of the wet, but you know I can't ask you in.
Oh, why not?
George, you know as well as I do, the groom can't see his bride on his wedding day, not until he's seen her in church.
Oh, that's just a superstition. Good morning, Mr. Webb.
Good morning, George.
Mr. Webb, you don't believe in that superstition, do you?
There's a lot of common sense in some superstitions, George.
Millions of followers, George, and you don't want to be the first to fly in the face of custom.
How's Emily?
She hasn't waked up yet. I haven't heard a sound out of her.
Emily's asleep.
No wonder we were up till all hours, sewing and packing. I'll tell you what I'll do, George. You sit down here a minute with Mr. Webb, and you drink this cup of coffee, and I'll go see that Emily doesn't come down and surprise you. This is bacon too, but don't be long about it.
Well, George? How are you?
Oh, fine. Oh, fine. Mr. Webb, what sense could there be in a superstition like that?
Well, on her wedding day, a girl's head had to be full of clothes and one thing or another. Don't you think that's probably it?
Yes, I never thought of that.
The girl had to be mighty nervous on her wedding day.
I wish a fella could get married without all that marching up and down.
Every man who's ever lived has felt that way about it, George, but it hasn't been any use. It's the women folk who have built up the weddings, my boy. For a while now, the women have it all their own. A man looks mighty small at his wedding, George. All those good women standing shoulder to shoulder, making sure the knot is tied in a mighty public way.
But you believe in it, don't you, Mr. Webb?
Oh yes, oh yes. Don't get me wrong. Marriage is a wonderful thing. A wonderful thing. Don't you forget that, George.
No, sir. Mr. Webb, how old were you when you got married?
Well, I had been away to college and taken some time to settle down, but Mrs. Webb, she wasn't much older than what Emily is. Age hasn't much to do with it, my boy, not compared to, well, other things.
What were you going to say, Mr. Webb?
Was I going to say something? I don't know. I was thinking the other night about some advice my father gave me on the night before I got married. Charles, he said, Charles. Best to start out early, showing them who's boss. Give them an order, even if it don't make sense, so she'll learn to listen. And if anything about your wife irritates you, or conversation, anything, just get out and leave the house. That'll make it clear to her. Oh, yes, yes. And never, never let your wife know how much money you have. Never.
Mr. Webb, I don't think...
So I took the opposite of my father's advice, and I've been happy ever since. Let that be a lesson to you, George. To never ask advice on personal matters. George, are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
What?
Are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
Well, Uncle Luke's never been much interested, but I thought...
A book came by my office the other day on the philo system of raising chickens. I want you to read it. I'm thinking about starting in a small way in the backyard, and I'm going to put an incubator in the cellar.
Charles, are you talking about that old incubator again? I thought you could be talking about something more worthwhile.
Well, Myrtle, if you want to give the boys some good advice, I'll just go upstairs and leave you alone with him.
Well, now, George, Emily's got to come down and eat her breakfast. She sends her love, but she doesn't want to see you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Well, Myrtle, I guess you've forgotten about that older superstition.
What do you mean, Charles?
Since the cavemen, no bridegroom should see his father-in-law on the day of his wedding. Now, you remember that.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Webb. Now, I'd like to interrupt here again. I'd like to know how all this started. This wedding. This decision to spend a lifetime together. You know how it is. You're 21 or 22, and you make some decisions, and then whoosh, you're 70. You've been a lawyer for 50 years. And that white-haired lady at your side has eaten over 50,000 meals with you. Yes. How do such things begin? George and Emily are going to show you the moment that they first knew that, well, as the saying goes, they were meant for each other. But before that, I'd like you all to remember what it was like to be very young. And specifically what it was like to have been in love for the first time. Feeling almost like you're sleepwalking. You didn't quite know what street you were on. You didn't quite hear everything was said to you. Do you remember that? Please? Good. Now, they'll be coming out of high school at about 3 o'clock. George has just been elected president of the junior class. And as it's June, which means he'll be president of the senior class next year. And Emily's just been elected secretary and treasurer. And I don't have to tell you how important that is. Oh, yes. There they are. Coming down Main Street now.
I can't, Louise. I've got to go home. Goodbye. Oh, Ernestine. Ernestine, could you come over tonight to do the Latin? Oh, isn't that Cicero just the worst thing? Tell you whether you have to. Goodbye. Oh, goodbye, Helen. Goodbye, Fred.
Can I carry your books home for you, Emily?
Thank you. It isn't far.
Excuse me a minute, Emily. Say, Bob, if I'm a little late, start practice anyway, and give Herb some long high ones.
Goodbye, Lizzie.
Bye, Lizzie. I'm awfully glad you were elected too, Emily.
Thank you.
Emily, why are you mad at me?
I'm not mad at you.
You've been treating me so funny lately.
Well, since you asked me, I might as well just say it. George, goodbye, Miss Corcoran.
Goodbye, Miss Corcoran. What is it?
I don't like the whole change that's come over you in the last year. And I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but I've got to tell the truth and shame the devil.
Change? What do you mean?
Well, up to a year ago, I used to like you a lot. And I used to watch as you did everything. Well, because we've been friends for so long. Well, then you begin to spend all your time at baseball, and you never stop to speak to anybody anymore. Not even your own family you didn't. And, well, George, it's a fact. You've become awfully conceited and stuck up, and all the girls say so. They may not say it to your face, but well, that's what they're saying about you behind your back. And it hurts me to hear them say it, but well, I've got to agree with them a little. And I'm sorry if that hurt your feelings, but well, I can't be sorry I said it.
I'm glad you said it, Emily. I never thought such a thing was happening to me. And I guess it's hard for a fellow not to have faults creep into his character.
I expect a man to be perfect. And I think he should be.
Well, I don't think it's possible to be perfect, Emily.
Well, my father is, and as far as I can see, your father is. There's no reason on earth why you shouldn't be too.
Well, I feel it's the other way around. That men aren't naturally good, but girls are.
Well, you might as well know right now that I'm not perfect. It's not as easy for a girl to be as perfect as a man because we're more nervous. And now I'm sorry I said all that about you. I don't know, maybe say it. And now I can see that it's not the truth at all. And I suddenly feel that it's not important anyway.
Emily, would you like an ice cream soda or something before you go home?
Thank you. I would.
Hello, Stu. How are you? Good afternoon, Mrs. Slocum.
Hello, Emily. Hello, George. How may I help you? Why, Emily, what have you been crying about?
She just got an awful scare, Mr. Morgan. She almost got run over by that old hardware store wagon. Everybody says that Tom Hopkins drives like a crazy man.
Well, now, you better take a drink of water, Emily. I tell you, you gotta look both ways when you're crossing Main Street these days. There you are. What will you have?
I'll have a strawberry plastic. Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
No, Emily. Have an ice cream soda with me. 2 strawberry ice cream sodas, Mr. Morgan.
2 strawberry ice cream sodas. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, 125 horses this minute in Grover's Corners while I'm talking to you. State inspector came in yesterday. And now they're bringing in all these automobiles. Why, best thing to do is just stay home. Why, I remember when a dog could sleep all day on Main Street. Nobody come along to disturb him. There you are. Enjoy it. Oh, yes, Mrs. Ellis, what can I do for you?
They're so expensive.
No, don't you think of that. We're celebrating our election. And then you know what else I'm celebrating?
No.
I'm celebrating because I've got a friend who tells me all the things that ought to be told to me.
George, please don't think about that.
I know,
don't
Emily,
wanna
you
say it.
stick to it. I'm glad you spoke to me like you did. You'll see, I'm going to make a change so quick. You bet I'm going to make a change. And Emily, I want to ask you a favor.
What?
Emily, if I go away to State Agriculture College next year, will you write me a letter once in a while?
I certainly will. I certainly will, George. It certainly seems like being away for years, you get out of touch with things. You know, maybe letters from Grover's Corner won't be so interesting after a while. Grover's Corners isn't a very important place when you think of all New Hampshire. But I think it's a nice town.
They wouldn't come when I would want to know everything that's happening here. I know that's true, Emily.
Well, I'll try to make my letters interesting.
You know, Emily, whenever I meet a farmer, I ask him if he thinks it's important to go to agricultural school to be a good farmer.
Why, George?
And some of them say that it's even a waste of time. You get all those things anyway in the pamphlets the government sends out. And Uncle Luke's getting old. It's about ready for me to start in taking over his farm tomorrow if I could.
Why?
And like you say, being gone all that time, in other places, and meeting other people. Gosh, anything like that can happen. I don't want to go away. I guess new people aren't any better than old ones. I'll bet they almost never are. Emily, I feel that you're as good a friend as I've got. I don't need to go and meet the people in other towns.
Well, George, maybe it's important for you to go and learn about cattle judging and soils and all that. Of course, I don't know.
Emily, I'm going to make up my mind right now. I won't go. I'll tell Pa about it tonight.
George, I don't survive to decide right now. I mean, it's a whole year away.
Listen, Emily, I'm glad you spoke to me about that fault in my character. What you said was right, but there was one thing wrong in it. That was when you said that for a year I wasn't noticing people. Say you, for instance, well, you say you were watching me when I did everything. I was doing the same about you all the time. Sure, I always thought about you as one of those chief people I thought about. I always made sure where you were sitting on the bleachers and who you were with. For 3 days now, I've been trying to walk home with you, but something's always gotten in the way. Yesterday, I was standing over against the wall waiting for you, and you walked home with Miss Cork.
George, life's awfully funny. I mean, how could I have known that? I mean, I thought...
Listen, Emily, I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to agriculture school. I feel that once you've found a person that you're very fond of, I mean a person who's fond of you too, and likes you enough to be interested in your character, well, I feel that's just as important as college is, even more so. That's what I think.
I think it's important too.
Emily,
Yes, George?
if I do improve and make a big change, would you be, could you be,
I am now. I always have been.
so I guess this is an important talk we've been having.
Yes.
Wait just a minute, I'll walk you home. Mr. Morgan, I'll have to go home and get the money to pay you for this.
What's that, George? Do you mean to tell me that?
Yes, but I had reasons, Mr. Morgan. Look, just my gold watch to keep until I come back.
No, that's all right, George. Keep the watch. I'll trust you.
Back in 5 minutes.
And I'll trust you 10 years, George. And not a day over. Feeling better from your shock, Emily?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Morgan. It was nothing.
Ready? Well, now we're ready to get on with the wedding. There are a lot of things to be said about a wedding. There are a lot of thoughts that go on during the wedding, and naturally, we can't fit them all into one wedding. Especially not into a wedding at Grover's Corners. They're often plain and short. But in this wedding, I play the minister. So that gives me the right to say a few more things about it. You know, some religions say that marriage is a sacrament. I don't quite know what that means, but I can guess. Like Miss Gibbs said, people were made to live 2 by 2. This is a good wedding, but people are so put together that even at a good wedding, there's bound to be a lot of confusion that goes on in people's minds. And we thought that would be in our play too. It's like what one of those European fellas said. Every child born into nature is attempt to make a perfect human being. Well, nature's been pushing and contriving for some time now. But the real hero of this scene isn't on stage at all. And you know who that is. You know, I think nature's interested in quantity. But I also think she's interested in quality, too. That's why I'm in the ministry. And don't forget all the other witnesses to this wedding, too. The ancestors. Millions of them. Most of them set out to live 2 by 2 also. Millions of them. Well, that's my sermon. Wasn't very long anyway.
cheer up, Ma. I'm getting married. Ma, you save Thursday nights. Emily and I are coming over to dinner every Thursday night. You'll see. Oh, Ma, what are you crying for? Come on, we gotta get ready for this.
I've never felt so alone in my whole life. And George over there. Oh, I hate him. I wish I were dead. Papa,
Emily, don't get upset.
Papa, I don't want to get married.
Everything's gonna be all right.
Why can't I just stay as I am just for a little while? Let's go away.
No, Emily, now stop and think a minute.
Don't you remember? All the time you used to say, all the time, that I was your girl. That there must be lots of places we could go. I mean, I could work for you or...
You mustn't think of such things. You're just nervous, Emily. George, will you come here? Why, you're married. He's a fine young fellow. George is a fine young man.
Papa,
You're giving away my daughter, George. Do you think you can take care of her?
Mr. Webb, I want to. I want to try. Emily, I'm going to do my best. I love you, Emily. I need you.
well, if you love me, help me. All I want is for somebody to love me.
I will, Emily. Emily, I'll try.
And I mean forever. Do you hear me? Forever and ever.
Come. Now you know it'll be all right. Come. They're waiting for us.
Do you, George, take this woman, Emily, to be your lawfully wedded wife? To have
Perfectly lovely wedding. Loveliest wedding I ever saw. Oh, I do love a good wedding. Don't you? Don't you make a lovely bride?
Do you, Emily, take this man, George, to be your lawfully wedded husband in sickness?
Don't know when I've been to such a lovely wedding. I always cry. I don't know why it is. I just always cry. I just love to see young people happy. Don't you? Oh, I just think it's lovely.
I've married over 200 couples in my day. Do I believe in it? I don't know. Have Mary's End, the cottage, go-kart, Sunday drives on the Ford, the first rheumatism, the grandchildren, the second rheumatism, deathbed, reading of the will. Once in 1,000 lifetimes, it's interesting. Well, let's have it for Mendelstrom's wedding march.
Aren't they a lovely couple? I've never been to such a nice wedding. If my children be happy, I would say, happiness, that's a great thing. The important thing is to be happy.
This time 9 years have gone by, friends. Summer 1913. Gradual changes in Grover's Corners. Horses are getting rarer. Farmers coming into town in Florida. Almost everybody locks their doors now at night. Ain't been any burglars yet, but everybody's heard about it. You'd be surprised though. On the whole, things don't change much around here. This is certainly an important part of Grover's Corners. It's on a hilltop, a windy hilltop. Lots of sky and clouds, often lots of sun, and moon, and stars. You come up here on a fine afternoon and you can see range on range of hills. Awful blue there. Up there by Lake Sunapi and Lake Winnipesaukee. And if you got a glass, you can see Mount Monadnock and Mount Washington. And way down there is Grover's Corners. Beautiful spot up here. Mountain laurel and lilacs. This here's the older part of the cemetery. Graves say 1670 to 1680. Strong-minded people who came a long way to be independent. Here, some graves of Civil War veterans. Iron flags on their graves. New Hampshire boys. Had a notion that the Union ought to be kept together, though they never seen more than 50 miles of it themselves. All they knew was the name, friends. The United States of America. The United States of America. And they went and died about it. Here's the newer part of the cemetery. Here's your friend, Mrs. Gibbs. Here's Mr. Stimson, the local organist at the Congregational Church. Oh, and Mrs. Soames. Enjoy the wedding, so. You remember? And many others. Here's Wally Webb. His appendix burst. His voice got trimmed to proper knowledge. Yes, an awful lot of sorrow, sort of just quiet down out here. People wild with grief have brought their relatives up to this hill. You know how it is. And then time. And sunny days. And rainy days. Snow. We're awfully glad they're up here in a place like this, and we're coming up here ourselves when our fit's over. Now, there are some things we all know, but we don't take them out and look at them very often. We all know that something is eternal. And it ain't houses, and it ain't names, and it ain't the earth, and it ain't even the stars. But we all know in our bones that something is eternal. And that something has to do with human beings. See, the dead don't stay interested in us living people for very long. Gradually, they lose hold of the earth, and the ambitions they have, and the things they suffer, and the people they love. They get weaned away from the earth. That's how I like to put it. Weaned away. And they stay here while the earth part of them burns out, burns away. And all that time, they slowly get indifferent to what's going on at Grover's Corners. They're waiting. Waiting for something that they know is coming. Something important. And great. Aren't they waiting for the eternal part of them to come out clear? Now, some of what they're going to say maybe will hurt your feelings. That's the way it is. husband and wife, enemy and enemy, money and miser. All those terribly important things just kind of grow pale around here. Well, there are some living people. Here's Joe Stoddard, the undertaker, supervising a freshly made grave. And here comes the Grover's Corners girl, who left town to go out west.
Good afternoon, Joe Stoddard.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let me see. Do I know you?
I'm Sally Gray.
Oh, gracious sakes alive! Of all the people, I should have known you'd be back for the funeral. You've been away a long time, Sally.
Yes, I've been away over 12 years. My husband's in business out in Buffalo now. But we were in the East when I got news of my cousin's death, so I thought I'd combine things a little and come see old home. You look well.
Yes, can't complain. Very sad journey we have here today.
Yes.
I always say I hate having to supervise a young person being taken. They'll be here in a few minutes now. I had to come here early. My son's supervising at home.
Mrs. McCarty, I used to do chores for her after school.
Yes, we brought Mrs. McCarty here a number of years ago now.
Why, this is my Aunt Julia. I'd forgotten that she... Of course.
Yes, Doc Gibbs lost his wife 3 years ago now. About this time. Today is a pretty bad blow for him, too.
It's my sister Carrie's girl. Sally Craig.
I'm always uncomfortable when they're around.
Simon.
Do they choose their own verses much, Joe?
No, not usual. Mostly the bereaved pick a verse.
Doesn't sound like Aunt Julia. There aren't many of those Gracie sisters left now. Let me see, I want to see my fathers and mothers and...
Over by the crates, out north.
Simon Stimpson. He was the organist at church, wasn't he? Drank a lot, we used to say.
Nobody was supposed to know about it. He'd seen a peck of trouble. Took his own life.
Did he?
Hung himself in the attic. They tried to hush it up, but of course he got around. He did choose his own epitaph. You can see it there. It ain't really a verse.
Why, it's just some notes of music. What is it?
Oh, I wouldn't know. It was wrote up in the Boston papers at the time.
Joe, what did she die of?
Who?
My cousin?
Oh, didn't you hear? She had some trouble bringing a baby into the world. It was her second, though. There's a little boy, about 4 years old. Ah, if you'll excuse me now. I see they're coming.
Who is it, Julia? My daughter-in-law, Emily Webb.
Well, I declare, the road up here must have been awful muddy. When did she die, Julia?
In childbirth.
Childbirth. I'd forgotten all about that. My, wasn't like awful. And wonderful.
Wonderful, was it?
Simon, now remember.
I remember Emily's wedding. Wasn't it a lovely wedding? And I remember her reading the class poem and graduation exercise. Emily was one of the brightest girls who ever graduated from high school. I heard Principal Wilkins say so time after time. I called at them at their new barn just before I died. Perfectly beautiful home. It's all the same where we live, though.
Yep. Right smart, Bob.
Hello.
Hello, Emily.
Hello, Miss Gibbs.
Hello, Mother Gibbs.
Emily.
Hello.
It's raining. Yes. They'll be gone soon, dear. Just sit and wait a minute.
It seems thousands and thousands of years since Mother Gibbs, I wish I'd been here a long time. I don't like being new here. Oh, how do you do, Mr. Simpson?
How do you do, my friend?
he loves it there. And Mother Gibbs, we've a Ford, too. Oh, it never gives us any trouble. I don't drive, though. Mother Gibbs, when does this feeling go away? Of being one of them? How long does it dear? Just rest yourself and be patient. I know. Look, they're finished. They're going. Look, Father Gibbs is bringing some of my flowers to you. He looks just like George, doesn't he? I never realized how troubled and how in the dark light persons are. Look at him. I love him so. From morning till night, that's all they are. Troubled.
Little cooler than it was. Yes, that rain's cooled it down. Those northeastern winds always seem to do the same thing. If it isn't a rain, it's a 3-day blow.
But, Mother Gibbs, one can go back. One can go back there again into living. I can feel it. I know it. But for a moment, I was thinking about the farm, and for a moment, I was there. My baby was on my lap, as plain as day.
Yes, dear. Of course you can.
I could go back and live all those days over again. Why not?
All I can say is, Emily, don't.
But it's true, isn't it? I could go back and live there again.
Yes. Some tried. They soon come back here.
Don't do it, Emily.
Emily, don't. It's not what you think it'd be.
Oh, but I will live over a sad day. I'll choose a happy one. Well, I'll choose the day I first knew I loved George. Why should that be painful?
You not only live it, but you watch yourself living in it.
Yes.
And as you watch it, you see what they down there don't know. You see the future. You know what's going to happen afterwards.
But is that painful? Why?
It's not the only reason why you shouldn't do it, Emily. When you've been here longer, you'll see that our job here is to think of what's ahead and be ready for what's ahead. When you've been here longer, you'll understand.
But, Mother Gibbs, how could I ever forget that life? It's all I know. It's all I had.
Emily, it isn't wise. Really, it isn't.
But to think I must know for myself. Well, I'll choose a happy day anyway.
No. Choose an unimportant day. Choose the least important day in your life. It will be important enough.
Well, then it can't be since I was married or since the baby was born. Well, I can choose a birthday at least, can't I? I choose my 12th birthday.
All right. February 11th, 1899. Tuesday. Would you like any specific time of day?
Well, I want the whole day.
We'll be getting on. It had been snowing for the past couple days, but it didn't stop in that door. They begun clearing up the roads. The sun's coming up.
There's 8th Street. And there's the St. Morgan's drugstore before you changed it.
Yeah. It's 1899. This is 14 years ago.
Oh, this is the town I knew as a little girl. And look, there's the old white picket fence
his college speech in Clinton.
Western New York?
There's Howie Newsom. Oh, look, there's our policeman.
Morning, Howie.
Morning, Bill.
Get up early and dress for your party. Don't get frozen left over in Fuller's friend daughter. The Oscar on the play of the snow drifts. Others are bed, my ship boy.
Wally, Emily, time to get up.
Mama, I'm here. Oh, young Mama looks. I don't know Mama was ever that young.
You can come and dress by the kitchen fire if you'd like, but hurry. Good morning, Mr. Newsom. It's cold.
Time to go by my mom as well.
Think of it. Keep yourself wrapped up.
Mama, I can't find my blue hair anywhere.
Just open your eyes, dear, that's all. I laid it out for you on the dresser. They're special. Or a snake would bite you.
Yes. Yes.
Morning, Bill.
Morning, Mr. Webb. You're up early.
Yes, well, I've just been back from my old college in upstate New York. Everything all right here?
Well, I was told this morning rescue a Polish fella. Don't get frozen then, he was.
We must get it in the paper.
Oh, well, wasn't much.
Papa.
Good morning, Mother.
How did it go, Charles?
Yes, well, I told him a few things. Everything all right here?
Yes, can't think of anything special. They've been right cold. Howie Newsom since 10 below when he was born.
Yes, well, it's much colder than that in Hamilton College. Students' ears are falling off. It ain't Christian. Paper have any mistakes in it?
None that I noticed. Oh, Charles, don't forget it's Emily's birthday. Do you remember to get her something?
Yes, I've got it right here. Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
Don't interrupt her now, Charles. You can see her breakfast. She's slow enough as it is. Now, children, I don't want to call again.
I can't bear it. How young and beautiful they look. Oh, Mama, I'm here. I'm all grown up. I can't look at everything hard enough. Morning, Mom.
Well, my dear, very happy birthday to my girl and many happy returns. There's some surprises waiting for you on the kitchen table.
Mama, you shouldn't have.
But birthday or no birthday, you eat your breakfast good and slow. I want your girl to be a good, strong girl. Now, that in the blue paper is something from your Aunt Carrie, and I reckon you can guess who brought the postcard album. Found it on the doorstep when I brought in the milk this morning. George Gibbs. Must have come over pretty early in the cold. Right nice of him.
George. I've forgotten that.
Now, chew this bacon good and slow. Warm on a cold day.
Mama, just look at me for a moment as though you really saw me. 14 years have gone by. I'm dead. Your grandmother, Mama. I married George Gibbs. Wally said too. His appendix burst on a camping trip to North Conway. And we felt just terrible about it. Don't you remember? But just for a moment we're all here together. Just for a moment we're happy. Let's look at one another.
Now, that and the yellow paper, something I found among your grandmother's things in the attic. You're old enough to wear it now. Thought you'd like it.
And this is from you. It's beautiful. It's just what I wanted.
Well, I hoped you'd like it. Your Aunt Nora searched everywhere for it. She couldn't find one in Concord, so she had to send all the way to Boston. Your brother Wally has something for you, too. Taking a manual training class, and he's very proud of it, so be sure to make a big fuss. Your father has something for you, too. Don't know that it's myself. Oh, here he comes.
Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
I can't go on. It all goes so fast. We don't have time to look at one another. I didn't realize. So all this is going on, and we never noticed? Take me back. Up the hill to my grave. But first, wait. One more look. Goodbye. Goodbye, world. Grover's Corners. Mama and Papa.
Poets, maybe. They do some.
I'm ready to go back.
Were you happy?
No. I should have listened to you. That's all human beings are, just blind to people.
Look up at the sky. The stars are coming out.
Oh, Mr. Stimson, I should have listened to them.
Yes. Now you know. Now you know. That's what it's like to be alive. To move about in a cloud of ignorance. To go up and down, trampling on the feelings of those about you. To spend and waste time as though you had a million years. To always be at the mercy of one self-centered passion or another. Now you know. That's the happy existence you want to go back to. Ignorance and blindness.
Simon Stimson, that ain't the whole truth and you know it. Emily, look at that star. I forgot its name.
My boy Joe, he was a sailor, knew 'em all. He'd settle his work evenings and tell 'em all by name. Yes, sir, wonderful.
Stars, a mighty fine companion.
Yes, yes it is.
Here's one of them coming.
Goodness, ain't time for one of them to be here.
Mother Gibbs, it's George.
Just wait and be patient.
It's George.
And my boy Joe, who knew the stars, he used to say it took millions of years for that speck of light to get to the earth. Don't think a body could believe it, but that's what he used to say. Millions of years. That ain't no way to behave. Goodness sakes, he ought to be home.
Mother Gibbs,
Yes, Emily?
they don't understand, do they?
No, dear. They don't understand.
Most everybody's asleep in Grover's Corner. There are few lights on. Cottage across the tracks. Down at the livery stables. Late night talking to the goings on. It's clearing up. There are the stars. Making their old crisscross journeys in the sky. Scholars haven't settled the matter yet, but they seem to think that there aren't any living beings up there. Just chalk. Or fire. Only this star seems to be straining away. Straining away all the time just to make something of itself. And every 16 hours, everybody lies down and goes to sleep. 11 o'clock in Grover's Corners. You get a good rest now, too. Good night.